Hello out there in Facebook land or YouTube land or internet land, wherever you happen to be watching this from, and welcome to the Diocesan Environment Network. And we're talking with a new artist, Ed Coleman. He's a retired Anglican priest, and he's here with us today. And Ed, thanks so much for agreeing to do this interview and show us some of your new artwork. So welcome, Ed.
Thank you. You're most welcome, and thank you for doing this, Roy.
So you're the latest artist for the Hope and Inspiration. We have a new name now. It's not the Hope and Inspiration Art Gallery. It's called the Hope and Inspiration Gallery of the Arts. You're our latest artist. How long have you been painting for, and how did you get started painting it?
About, I always say over 30 years, but I think it's around, it's just over 30 years. Mm-hmm. And we had just moved to from Newfoundland to Renforth, New Brunswick, and this little lady named Gladys Stocks showed up at church this Sunday, and I went out during the week to visit her. And it turns out she was an artist. Now, I'd always been interested in art, had gone to galleries, and I even took a drawing class once at the Y in St. John's, Newfoundland. And I said to her when I was leaving, she has some beautiful work, and she had a collection of other artists as well. And I said, I've always wanted to paint. And she said, well, name your day. I said, what? And she said, name your day and I'll teach you. Mm-hmm. And at first, like I thought, I was almost scared to death, right? Mm-hmm. Respond. I said, well, okay. I said, Friday mornings are good. I take Friday mornings off. And anyhow, she immediately, said yes. And I said, well, what about supplies? She said, I have all the supplies. She had a whole studio in the back of her house, and you can use them. She gave me all the brushes and paints and the whole thing, She was an extremely generous. And so every Friday morning for 3 years following that, I would go to Gladys's, and she taught me to paint eventually. Well, she taught me the art history. She really knew art history and of the French Impressionists and the Impressionists, European Impressionists, and and especially the Group of Seven and the Canadian artists. And she knew the local history of art in the St. John area as well. She was kind of a part of that. Okay. And so she would teach me she taught me the traditional way of teaching art, which was to copy the paintings of the masters, she called them. She said, you're better than the masters. So if you copy the masters will teach you. She said, I can't teach you what they can. Wow. And then she would leave me, and she'd come in, and every now and then, especially after I got going for a while, she would come in and she'd take a brush and she'd put orange on it, and she'd slap it on the canvas. And I was kind of mad at her for doing that. And like, why did she do that? Like, that's my. But then every time she was right. She knew color, and she knew about complementary colors. Mm-hmm. And that if color was missing, she said, they got to be happy paintings. And she said, they got to have shock value. Oh. They got to shock you. And so it was, she taught me, she gave me books and, magazines and articles and all of that stuff. So it was really her gift to me that got me started. And then next thing I know, I joined the St. John Art Club, and so I sold a painting for $50, and somebody took it to a framing gallery, and the fellow phoned and said, listen, you're pretty good. Can you bring some work? And next thing I know, I'm, having a show and all that kind of stuff. So it started from there.
Oh. So what inspires you to paint, Ed?
I think the need for joy. Like I get when I'm painting, there's like I get in a zone and and kind of in that zone. I have CBC Radio 2 on, and I'm listening to classical music. And once I get going, I'm in a zone and I'm lost in the. And so there's this sense of joy. I mean, it sounds maybe a bit hokey, but it really is such. It's like discovering something that you never know existed. It never knew existed. And so I have the discipline as well. I just don't do it when I'm inspired. I just every morning when I come out, I'm going to paint today. So there's not a morning I don't say when I'm in the studio I'm not going to paint, or I may clean up. Yeah.
So what's your favorite artwork?
My favorite artwork, well, it's like there are, through the years, there have been I call them hinge paintings, because you're painting in not one kind of style, but one way, and you're like that kind of coloring and style is ending, and you're pushing through something. So it's that when I'm able to go through another door, that's my favorite painting kind of thing. So like I would say like this, like the St. John, like this here, which is a view above Trinity Church in downtown St. John.
Right.
Like I just love doing that kind of thing, which is a very difficult thing to do, but the colors and the aerial view, I mean, that was from a photograph, but a lot of my paintings, especially of cityscapes, I'm above the scene, looking down, kind of thing. So, yeah. So I like that I like the cityscapes mostly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There is a lot of cityscapes on your website and a lot of landscapes,
right,
and a lot of flowers.
Right.
But the cityscapes would be your favorite thing that.
Yes.
Really...
Yeah. Like flowers they're all imaginary. Like every one of them. Like there might be. Sometimes I might work from a photo with a floral, but very rare. I just begin and I just imagine and I create it. I'm not, I've done a lot of lupins through the years because that's a very Atlantic Canadian thing.
Yeah.
But basically, I've been using some fluorescent paints with pinks in them, which I never used before this last year. And people have loved color during the pandemic kind of thing. So yeah. But all the florals are and I've done, of course, a lot of, I like to paint on site as well. I like the cityscapes, but I like to paint. I love going down the coast here or in New Brunswick or Newfoundland. I went to Newfoundland last year and painted there.
Yeah. So what artists or which artists do you most identify with?
But there's not one in particular. I think like Van Gogh has an incredible story, and it kind of it's a tragic story and a lot of suffering and mental agony, and I think like in his story the church missed out because he was a kind of an evangelist who went and worked with the coal miners. He was to be their pastor, but the church got rid of him because he was getting too close to the people, and so he ends up, becoming who he was. But so I've seen his stuff in galleries, and I like it. But I really love the French Impressionists, and in the Art Gallery of Ontario, there are drawers full of little 8x10 paintings that the group of 7 did when they took the boxcar up to Algonquin Park,
Yes. Okay.
And they're just incredible. And I'm Gladys teaching me about the group of seven, but these are just beautiful. And to me, the Tom Thompsons, when you see them actually, either they're at the McMichael, but they're those little ones that became big ones are just, that they melt me kind of thing.
And that's the thing too with those artists, was that they didn't paint a scene just once. They painted it over and over again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's always different copies of the actual same painting. Yeah. So what projects are you currently working on?
Well, I've just finished the one of there was a photo on my the community I was born in Newfoundland, Isle of Mort, near Port aux Basques. There was a photo there, so I was thinking, and so I've just finished that piece, and a couple of years ago we went, not, it's less than 2 years now, we went to Europe, and we went to the Keukenhof Gardens in Holland. Okay. So this year I've been working on and it's tulips kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And so with that one, usually I've told you that I finish in one sitting, but really with that one in particular, I started in acrylics, and I realized they needed to look more like tulips, and so I've started using oils on top of the acrylic to give it really a texture of the tulip. So I'm not really finished that one yet.
Okay. So have you ever done that before? Mixed oil and acrylic, or do you mainly?
Yeah. Well, you're only supposed to. You should never put acrylic over oil, but you can't, like, you can use oil over acrylic, because acrylic can be the base, kind of the base for it, and then the oil on top is fine. But if you put acrylic on top of oil, even though I know an artist that does this and seems to work for him, but it can crack.
Okay. Now, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given as an artist?
Again, from Gladys. She used to have 3 or 4 sayings on the easel, and one of them was the reign of skill is the ruination of art. So, so never become so skillful that you're not creative, right? You have to have that creative bit. Like skill isn't everything. That's the reason I say anybody can paint. Just a second there now. My back. Yes, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. So and the other thing was nature abhors a vacuum, and regularity no less. So which is all about the painting has to be filled with stuff. Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah. You need it shouldn't be an empty space. No. You should the painting should be full of something. Keep your eye. People want to stay in it, stay in the painting, and go back and look at it and see something different every time, kind of thing. So yeah. I don't know. Maybe.
Do you have any of Gladys's paintings?
I do.
Do you? Yeah.
I do, and it was so funny. We lost the whole collection. We had a house fire about 5 years ago. Oh. We lost everything we owned, and which was awful. But anyhow, after that, I was able to. I found out through the grapevine that one of her paintings was in this little store down in St. Stephen, New Brunswick. Oh. And I went and found the painting, and because she's died since then, she was 90 something when she died. But I found a painting and bought it. It wasn't expensive at all. It was a watercolor. Brought it home where we lived in Rossley. Turned it over, and the painting was done. The painting was from across, basically, was diagonally across the street from where we lived on the river.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
It was neat. It was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a neat story.
Yeah.
So now we're all part of the Environment Network. What's your hope, Ed, for the planet?
I really think the hope, and it's not the future hope, but it's the present hope, is in young people. And I'm just really inspired by the activism of young people. Even just, I think it's just over a year ago, in the summer, the march downtown here in Halifax, I stood on the street and I kind of wept as they were marching for the environment, and it was just the most beautiful thing. And mostly all young people, and it was just really, really beautiful. And there, I had an old nun that was my spiritual director, an elderly nun, I shouldn't say an old nun, and Sister Margaret, and she was wonderful. She was my spiritual director for 10 years. And she would say to me, Ed, the young people, they're just going to do just great things. They're going to do great things. And we had 4 teenagers at the time in the house. I thought, I don't know where you're coming from. but really, she was absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like those kids that were teenagers now are incredible parents.
Yeah.
They're conscious of the environment. They're conscious of, they don't think the same way. Which we should be thankful for.
Yeah.
There are leaders, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Ed, we're all out of time, but I just want to say thanks so much for agreeing to do this interview. And for you folks out there, make sure you check out Ed's work. It's on the Hope and Inspiration online gallery now, so you can see it, and they're posting it each couple of days. They're posting a new piece of artwork. But Ed, you also have your own online gallery yourself that people can check out. And what's the name of that, Ed?
It's edcolemanart.com.
Okay. And you can check that out, and it's run by Spotify, is it? So
no, it's Shopify.
Shopify, sorry.
Yeah.
And so if they want to buy pieces off of the internet, you can. And as you can tell from behind Ed's head there, it's beautiful pieces of work. So check it out, folks. And thanks for tuning in.